What if I told you that the US government has spent years secretly studying ways to escape space and time using nothing but your mind? Today, we are diving into the Gateway program, designed to unlock the full power of your consciousness. Government tested, spirit approved, and backed by dozens of firsthand accounts.
I have chills on my scalp. This is the whisper episode.
Oh, I like that.
Welcome to Two Girls, One Ghost.
Two girls, one ghost. We are your ghostesses. That is Corinne.
Hello.
And I am Sabrina. But I can't whisper for this episode because
I could do it.
Holy shit. This episode is going to be like, I need to scream at the top of my lungs worthy.
I am so excited for it. And when I was searching for emails in our inbox, unfortunately, I didn't find anyone who had some tea to tell us, but I did find other people who just sent us one line saying it works. So I'm not reading those because that's all they said. But what you're about to teach us, apparently, according to the Two Girls, One Ghost listeners, it works.
Mind blowing. But first, I have a gift for you.
What is this?
Okay. I was going to wait.
A digital gift?
No, it's a real gift. It's in my bag right next to me. I was going to wait, but I got too excited, as I do.
Classic. Was this supposed to be a birthday gift?
Well,
that you got early?
Okay. So I wanted to get this for you for so long. I've told you about it. I'm just going to give it to you.
I have zero idea what to expect right now. Corn! Corn! I can't say words. Corn! Corn!
It's a corn cap.
It's a corn cap. Get the plastic off so I can wear it!
So it was on Six Bells a couple years ago when I was looking for a birthday present, and then I didn't end up getting it, and I was like, oh, maybe I'll get it for Christmas or something like that. And it was sold out, and all the other ones are available, like the tomato, the eggplant. Corn was always sold out. So I found the artist.
No way.
And shout out to Ella Pennington. I DM'd her.
Did you ever think someone would be desperate enough for the corn hat?
I DM'd her and I was like, can I please, how can I make this happen? I will pay you. And she helped make your present dreams come true.
Oh my God. I am so excited. Yay. Thank you. And this helps finish my grout fit.
Your grout fit, it does. And your corn
feels really nice.
It's the most you hat in the world.
Corn.
You are corn.
That was my high school nickname.
I know.
Backfired on my dad. My mom wanted to name me Camille and Gabriella. And he was like, no, I don't want it to be Gabby or Ella or Cammy. No nicknames. So they named me Corinne, and then my nickname was Corn. Corn and Kern. Corn kernels.
Corn cap.
Corn cap. Corn best friend.
Happy friendship.
Thank you. I'm actually inappropriately happy for a gift like this. This is the best thing ever.
I was inappropriately happy when I figured it out. Yeah. So
the choice of a corn cap.
Yeah. But now to the juice of the episode. The root, the seed, whatever we want to say. I'm going to begin with an affirmation because a part of this topic requires quite a bit of affirmation and intention setting. So if you would like to, I don't know, ascend to a different realm or out of your body, close your eyes. Actually, I should say, me saying this out loud is not going to make you leave your body. If you do, wow, I'm a powerful fucking witch.
Mini preparation for what we're going to hear, though.
Yes, this is an affirmation. So if you'd like to close your eyes. I am more than my physical body because I am more than physical matter. I can perceive that which is greater than the physical world. I deeply desire to expand and to experience, to know, to understand, to control, to use such greater energies and energy systems as may be beneficial and constructive to me and those who follow me. Also, I deeply desire the help and cooperation, the assistance, the understanding of those individuals whose wisdom, development, and experience is equal to or greater than mine. I ask their guidance and protection from any influence or source that might provide me with less than my stated desires.
This has proved to me that I really need to work on clearing my brain because I listened to the first part of that, but then your voice was so rhythmic. And then it sounded like The Therapist in Severance, where it was like, your Audi can change a tire in under 3 minutes. And so then I just started thinking about that. So I missed the back half.
That's okay. You'll be thinking about Severance quite a lot during this episode.
Okay.
What if I told you that the key to uncovering the secrets of the universe is right here, at our fingertips? That the US government has spent years secretly studying ways to escape space and time using nothing but your mind. Well, I'm going to tell you about it because it's true.
It also just feels so, like, not to get into government and politics, which we don't do here and we won't, but something like this just like kind of blows my mind because it feels so distant from like what we are publicly shown with the work that is done in the different agencies that we have here in America, that I'm like, are these people battling? Like, is there a secret battle within the government about these things? Who can expose it? Who cannot? Are they trying to sabotage research? This is the conspiracy theorist in me trying to go on top of what people sometimes already consider a conspiracy, but it's not because these things are released to the public.
They're real. They really, really happened, and they are released to the public. And it makes me just think, what else is happening behind the scenes that we have no idea about? And in like 15 years, we will learn and be like, oh my gosh, I knew it. Anyway, in the early 1980s, a classified report was quietly filed away. It detailed altered states of consciousness, time distortion, and contact with non-physical entities. It was declassified years later in 2003, and what it describes reads like science fiction or spiritual awakening. And that is because it probably is both. Today, we are diving into the Gateway program of the Monroe Institute, a series of audio tapes and mindful techniques designed to unlock the full power of your consciousness. Government tested, spirit approved, and backed by dozens of firsthand accounts.
Some in our inbox.
And also, like, usually Reddit threads, when you search paranormal topics, like Appalachia, for example, when you search that, there'll be some results that are probably within the last week.
Mm-hmm.
The Gateway tapes, like, literally I checked this morning, a couple hours ago, people posted stories about it.
It just feels so crazy. I know I don't want to get too ahead of ourselves on this, but it does feel so crazy that like this resource is here. The tools are here. It's at our fingertips. And yet it's like, it's proof that like something can be given over to the public. And it doesn't mean that the public's just all going to like rush and become this awakened group.
No, clearly not, because it's been released. It's been public since 2003.
And we still
and beyond that, actually, like the Monroe Institute has always been, while it's a nonprofit institute, it's always been like accessible. Okay, so this is the Monroe Institute and the Gateway Experience, a brain hemisphere synchronization. We're going to start with a man behind the mind-bending magic, literally. His name is Robert Monroe. Robert Allen Monroe was born on October 30th, 1915, basically a spooky Halloween baby.
Halloween Eve.
Yeah. He was born in Bloomington, Indiana. His father, Robert, was a college professor, and his mother, Georgia, was a homeopathic doctor, which I think these two dualities being raised in are very formative for what Robert goes on to do.
Yeah, because he's trying to apply science to the woo-woo.
Absolutely. And that is this episode, the science and the woo-woo. Robert attended Ohio State University. He graduated in the 1930s with a degree in journalism and broadcasting, and he put his degree to good use. He pursued a career in radio, becoming a producer, then a radio executive, and ultimately in the 1950s, he founded what is called RAM or RAM Enterprises, a company that started out as radio programming, but soon pivoted. So it's the 1950s. Let's get some landscape. Let's figure out what's going on. Monroe is becoming very intrigued by what is a hot topic at this time. And it's called hypnopedia, aka sleep learning. And so this was like a popular topic of discussion and theory in the scientific realm, where it's like, what can we as humans do while we're sleeping? Can we listen to certain audio and actually become better people and learn?
People apply that to babies now. It's like if you play like Mozart or whatever, it's supposed to help with learning in their sleep.
Right. So the 1950s is kind of when like a lot of people are studying this. And as Monroe works in radio, he's very intrigued by sound. And so he wants to research this phenomenon and investigate how sound in different frequencies specifically could enhance learning, memory, and sleep. His hope was then to create content on his radio shows that would help listeners fall asleep faster, retain information better, and even reduce stress and anxiety. So he had like really good intentions. And this led them to the brainwave entertainment, certain sounds that would encourage the brain to shift into different states. And this is like not new information to us. Like when I sleep, sometimes I turn on different like frequencies. People listen to different white noise or whatever because it helps calm the thoughts in your brain.
He was trying to help people heal themselves.
And what happened next was truly unexpected. Like literally Monroe was like, I might need to be checked into a psychiatric facility. Like, am I having a mental break? But no, he was having a brain blast, literally.
Jimmy Neutron.
He was Jimmy Neutron. So interested in all of this like sound study, he became one of his own test subjects, naturally, because he wanted to see how it worked. So he began testing different sound waves on himself to test sleep learning audio that he and his team were studying and creating. Result, altered the trajectory of his life and opened literal doors to the astral realm. In 1958, Robert Monroe, a broadcasting executive, and this quote is from a declassified CIA document, unpredictably and without willing it, found himself leaving his physical body to travel via a second body to locales far removed from the physical and spiritual realities of this life.
Oh.
So basically, what did he do? He laid down on a bed and he placed soundproof headphones on and floated out of his body into the unknown. He described floating out of his body, drifting up toward the ceiling, looking down at himself. And he was like, is this a dream? Like, what is this? And the sensation feels so real. Like he remembered it so vividly that didn't feel dreamlike.
Well, and the fact that he's saying that he went somewhere else to a different realm. It's not just like a normal out of body where, not to say that any out of body experience is quote unquote normal, because it's just really impressive when it does happen regardless. Yeah. But it's not like he was above his body in the same room looking down. He went somewhere else.
Well, at first he was in the same room.
But then he moved on.
And then, so it progressed. And he has written so many books, which I'll list them in the show notes and also in a second. There are a lot of resources in the show notes of this episode. So if you're interested to learn more and read the CIA documents or even have a out-of-body projection experience, there are resources in the show notes to do so. Okay, but so he is like, this is not a dream. This is a very real sensation. But at first he thinks he's crazy because this is the first time it's ever happened. And he comes back into his body and he's like, I think I need to get myself checked out. Remember, he's a man of science and also woo-woo. But at this point, he's like, the science and the woo-woo are not meeting. I feel like I'm woo-woo and I need to get help from science. But he was able to repeat this experience over and over.
Can you remind me when he was born?
1915.
So he lived at the same time that Harry Houdini did. And Houdini was trying to do all this shit, right?
That's interesting. I don't remember Houdini's birthday.
Let me give a quick
quick goog.
Yeah. Okay. So Harry Houdini was born in 1874. He died on Halloween, October 31st, 1926. So they were...
But he wasn't doing these studies until
true.
1958.
This guy Monroe was only 11.
Poor Houdini.
He was trying so hard to do the same stuff.
So still, even though he's able to repeat this experience over and over, he's like, I want to make sure that I'm not having some neurological issue. So he goes to a psychologist, psychiatrist, neurologist, and not one of them can find something wrong. So then Robert's like, okay, well, what does this mean? He wasn't sure, but he decided to lean in and continue to explore these out-of-body sensations. And he begins journaling and starts to uncover patterns, sensations, and even locations that he was able to return to time and time again. So now it's 1971. So he's spent more than 10 years, like 12 years now, exploring this other consciousness to great lengths. And he publishes his journals in a book called Journeys Out of the Body. In this book, he coins the term out-of-body experience for the first time, or an OBE. Then in 1985, he releases a second book called Far Journeys. There's a third book called Ultimate Journeys that he released in 1994. So these are all like his personal experiences with out-of-body experiences. So if you do want to read more, I highly encourage it. And there are so many things. I want to read his books and just do episodes on his experiences personally. Yeah. But I am going to read a couple of what he did experience so that you can get a frame of reference of what is happening in these out-of-body experiences.
And was he doing all of this stuff alone, or did he have
No,
like
he has
group?
A team.
Okay.
Yeah. And so he released his book in 1971. And I think that same year is when he opens the Monroe Institute and everything starts moving. But then his other books came out later. So his experiences range from strange to cosmic to horrifying and unsettling. In one documented experience, Monroe describes being summoned to like a non-physical realm, almost like he had no control of where he was going, but that his soul was required somewhere. And when he arrived there, he saw this woman repeating her death over and over. And it's kind of like a residual haunting, but it was active in the sense that
Oh my God.
this woman, and I didn't read what her death was, and maybe it's best we don't know, but she would like repeat it and then almost like zap back to the beginning and repeat it again. And this woman was like full of sorrow and confusion. And Robert's like looking here. He's like, why am I here? Who is this woman? Why was I brought here? And like, then he had this realization, what if I can give her my energy and like try to help her?
Mm.
And it took some time. He begins projecting calm and emotional energy towards her. And he calls this a love energy that is really, really strong. And over time, little by little, he starts to see this woman's soul changing as if she's going from unconscious to conscious. And as this is happening, he starts to see other souls appearing around this woman. And then the woman is able to see the other souls and she recognizes them. And these other souls are people from her life who had also passed on.
Mm-hmm.
And they helped her go into like the light.
This is so crazy too, because it's like, this is something that exists in a way here today now where people can help co-regulate other people. Like I'm thinking about people who have different like processing disorders or even like people with autism when you get like really overstimulated or something, to have someone else help you co-regulate is so powerful. You can go from this state of like complete overwhelm, breakdown, anxiety, hyperventilating to
calm
within your body again.
Yeah. It's like Reiki too, just like energy healing.
Oh my gosh.
And so it's in this moment, Monroe realizes that the work of consciousness isn't to escape reality. It's to help heal our reality. And that might be beautiful and transcendent. And there are other elements of these locales that he calls them that are beautiful like that. But there are others that give severance and backrooms.
Mm.
So I'm going to tell you about 3 locales in this otherworldly realm. The first is called the Looosh Farm, Loosh.
What? Who named that?
I don't know. And I don't know why it's called that, but I'm sure he goes into it deeper in his book. But everything about this episode blows my mind. But okay, so Monroe is pulled into this out-of-body experience and he ends up in this place where the way he describes it is he's almost looking at Earth from a distance. Not like as if he's in space watching Earth, but like
he's outside of the simulation looking
exactly. He sees what he describes as farmers. So they're humanoid, but they're not. But there are these farmers who are literally planting seeds, and we are the seeds. And then they're cultivating us and helping us grow on Earth. Like they're planting us on Earth, like stirring the pot, basically getting us to like grow and have it like live life. But they're cultivating our energy to fuel them and another group of entities and beings. So our love and our pain, it's like Monsters Inc. They use as an energy source.
Yeah, that makes sense.
They're farming us.
But then also, can they learn about recycling? Because if energy is neither created nor destroyed, can they just not figure out a way to harness that energy and continue to recycle it? Why do they keep having
but they do keep recycling
harness new?
They do keep recycling us.
Fuck.
And then it's also like, think about it. We do that with our own plants. Like we use different things that we plant to create energy source for us.
Oh my God.
There's another place.
Wow. We're like a part of a food chain in a way I didn't realize we were.
And I think it goes even beyond. And this is like the complication with the Gateway program and the Monroe Institute. It's like, it seems really tempting and interesting to explore. And I'm totally going to like go down this rabbit hole and explore it more. There's a lot of dangers with it in the sense that people can become addicted to it. People can get stuck.
Like stuck in the other realm?
Yeah.
Oh, there was an episode of Touched by an Angel on this. And it never left me.
So there's another locale called the I There. So the letter I, THERE, which is a multidimensional soul hub where all of your past lives, parallel selves, and spiritual fragments exist as one collective being.
Oh, interesting.
It's like your cloud.
But
I also love that it's called I There because this is before like iPhones and like
I There.
Yeah.
Well, maybe in that is proof of just like the collective consciousness that like there's no maybe original thought and think everyone's picking up on the same stuff with iCloud and whatever. So wait, is the I There for each individual, or are we all like a collective, like one being, the consciousness of one? I
don't know. I think the I There would be like an individual thing, but there's probably if you pull out, it's like a we there and like we're all there.
Hmm.
I don't know. Okay, and then this is the last little like tidbit from Monroe's books that I will share, and then we'll get into so many more experiences in a minute. But this one's a little bit more creepy. There's something called the Serpent Corridor, a twisting, dark void populated by strange whispering voices and slithering energy forms, seemingly a gate between death and rebirth. It is a place that does not feel safe and smells of fear and memory.
Fear and memory. So is this all like traumatic events, bad memories?
I don't know.
Anxious thoughts?
The way I'm envisioning it and the way it's described as like a tunnel between death and rebirth, it's like you have to get through this tunnel to go and be reincarnated. But there's all these whispers and dark memories that are trying to prevent you or scare you from going back. It's a weird thing.
Yeah, and I don't get it because if we're like, what are the farmers' parts in this?
I don't know. And that's what's confusing is there's so many different aspects that I'm like, are these even connected? Or are these just like, is the simulation so massive that even they're in a simulation? You know, like, are they a part of it?
Mm-hmm. This one part, okay, I'm only on season 1 of Severance if people couldn't tell, but it's reminding me of, I just got to see the dark, creepy hallway that goes down to the testing floor. And that's kind of what this reminds me of.
I mean, even just like the whole space of the Severance offices, just like the long corridors with like doors that lead to a man milking a goat. Like,
yeah,
it's just like so random, but there is.
And you're like, well, how does it all speak to each other?
Right.
It doesn't make any sense when you just see it separately.
Hey, Corinne, how do you do it all? How do you balance being a mom, being a spooky ghoul?
Yeah, so I don't. I get help. And I
Tell us
have
your
been
secrets.
ordering Little Spoon. It was actually suggested to me from a neighbor who was like, when you introduce solids to Noah, this is going to change your life because they have so many different options. So they have baby blends, which is the pureed foods, and then they have puffs, which Noah loves. And we've recently started on the biteables. It saves so much time, and it's also really nice because I can see the improvement over time with Noah's fine motor skills, with him just like picking up and working on his little pincher grasp and eating them.
I gifted Noemi and my sister some of the lunchers and the puffs, and they love it. And Little Spoon is your one-stop shop for healthy, easy mealtime and snack time for your baby, your toddler, and your big kid. And honestly, I'll confess, I eat and enjoy Little Spoon as well.
And did I mention it comes right to my door? It's so flexible. It's so easy. Everything stores right in the fridge and freezer. I pick the menu. I change up what I order every time so that Noah gets to try new foods. The price is right. The quality is unmatched. I love it. Noah loves it. Noemi loves it. You love it, Sabrina. Grandparents love it. It just makes life so easy. It's a huge win-win-win for our family, and it can be for yours as well.
Simplify your kiddos' mealtime with 30% off your first order. Go to littlespoon.com/TGOG and enter our code TGOG at checkout to get 30% off your first Little Spoon order. Thank you, Little Spoon, for sponsoring this episode.
So 1971 is when Robert Monroe releases his first book. It is also the same year that Robert Monroe founded the Monroe Institute, and he opens a facility. Where better to open a facility like this to study out-of-body experiences than the Appalachian Mountains?
Of course, of course. Although respect, because why not go to where there's like palpable energy and like shifting of everything? And
so he opens the Monroe Institute in Faber, Virginia. This was established as a nonprofit research organization with one mission: to understand and train human consciousness to go beyond the limits of this physical world. He recruits neuroscientists, psychologists, physicians, and engineers, and together they ran controlled studies on brainwave patterns, consciousness shifts, and non-ordinary states. To this day, they still do this. So I think they would have people sign up and you participate in these studies.
So I already have questions. Like, if we're able to transcend and bring ourselves out of our body, what does that do to those that are farming us? Is that like an attempt to escape, or are we making ourselves in our energy form even more accessible to them? Like, are we accidentally?
I don't know.
I can't even figure out a way to ask the question appropriately because I'm like, well, what's happening? Like, how do we escape this? And then where do we end up? Where do we go?
I don't know the answer to that. And it is very confusing because, I mean, there's just no answers. I will say, like, holistically, this program is intended to explore and have positive experiences and heal your own soul if used correctly with the right intentions. Of course, everything can be used
I'm just so
improperly.
confused about like who we are and what we are, because if we are being farmed and planted and cultivated for energy, then like what purpose or like what does it do for us or even for those that are consuming our energies?
The
go
way
through
you
all
just
of
phrased that,
this.
consuming our energies, makes it sound so gross. But that's what they're doing.
Slurping us up.
Like we're powering a light grid somewhere. I don't know.
Well, I guess I'm just wondering, like, what are the repercussions or like our actions and going through the process that Monroe, that you're about to tell us, that like the different things that Monroe has figured out for us to do. Like, how do those impact? What's the point of life?
I think, well, yeah, I don't know what the point of life is. That's a good question. But it's magical that it exists.
Yeah.
Okay, so the technology that they were using and they do use and is trademarked is called hemisync, hemispheric synchronization, basically utilizing sound. And so like this is how it works. Monroe and his team would play slightly different frequencies in each ear. So there would be like one frequency in one ear, another in the other. And this would cause the brain to create a third tone, binaural beat that allows the person to shift their state of awareness. So the different waves that they're using and studying are called alpha, which is supposed to help with relaxed focus, theta, which is supposed to help with deep meditation and dreaming, delta, which helps with sleep, and gamma, which helps with enhanced cognition. After various studies and tests with the aid of hemisync, participants began experiencing out-of-body experiences, deep trances, visions of the afterlife, encounters with guides, and this sense of being beyond the veil. With all of his own personal experiences and all these studies he's running, he categorizes the out-of-body experiences into 4 different focus levels. So basically, like beginners start at focus level 10, where it's mind awake, your body is asleep. That's like the first step. Then focus 12 is expanded awareness beyond your physical body.
Okay.
Focus 15 is a place where time doesn't exist.
I want to go there.
Focus 21 and beyond is something else entirely. Realms where souls transition, realms where beings exist without forms, and so much more.
Holy shit.
Robert Monroe's studies were producing something truly otherworldly, which naturally caught the attention of the CIA.
Oh, yeah. Where you were talking about going into the spaces that have other types of beings and stuff. I was just thinking about like how much opportunity there is. We have horror movies about it. The whole plot of Insidious is this, where there's like other beings, other creatures, other energies that are trying to take control over you or feed off of you in some sort of way. And it just made me wonder if anyone who has ever been pregnant has done this. And like, I had this horror movie thought of some other type of like weird entity and creature being the one that attaches itself and like enters the fetus.
Ew, I hate that. Well, but
then if you have a child who's like just knows different things and is like,
well, that's also the other thing, and that's like question about reincarnation, because even last night I was like scrolling on TikTok at 3 a.m. because I couldn't sleep, and there was one TikTok where it was like the little kid saying like, yeah, I chose you. When you got pregnant, that's when I chose you. And the mom is like, what do you mean you chose me? And he's like, and he explains being on this like fluffy cloud and picking his parents.
The movie Soul, Pixar, watch it.
I have seen it.
Oh, you didn't see it for a long time, right?
I've seen it. I saw it.
You haven't watched Klaus?
No, I've watched Klaus.
Okay.
And also we've been talking about Klaus so much. Like, I thought we talked about it once, but then someone was commenting on our YouTube video being like, I love the movie Klaus. And I was like, wait, we've talked about this like in every episode now.
If you love
it's a
something,
simulation.
You find a way to bring it up all the time.
Whoever wrote Klaus is like programming us. Okay, so naturally it is catching the attention of the CIA, which is no surprise. And so again, I'm going to set up some context here. It's the 1970s. The Cold War is still ongoing, and the US government is no stranger to investing and testing unconventional intelligence strategies. We've got Project Bluebird / Artichoke, which ran from 1950 to 1956, studying mind control and interrogation drugs, hypnosis, and psychological torture, which that also has been released to the public. So you can read that on the CIA reading room. There's MK Ultra that started in 1953, ran through the 1970s, which was studying mind control, hypnosis, and ESP with the use of LSD. Then there's Stargate Project, which ran from 1978 to 1995. That's like a long time, studying remote viewing and psychic spying using clairvoyance and telepathy.
That's the shit I'm super into.
And then later, the CIA worked with Stanford to study remote viewing under controlled settings. So, like, they're continuing even after the Project Bluebird, which wrapped up in 1956. They're continuing to invest and spend time, especially with remote viewing and out-of-body intelligence, all the way until 1995, and probably still happening behind the scenes that we don't even know what's happening.
And you said they're doing it at Stanford too, so they're looping in huge institutes.
Yes. So now picture this. It's 1980s. Again, Cold War is still going on. And the CIA learns that there's this guy with an institute in the wilderness of Virginia teaching people how to leave their bodies and travel through time and space.
Hell yeah. Like, who is this mother trucker?
So the CIA gives him a call and they're like, hey, Monroe, you up? And he responds,
2 a.m., you up?
You up? And he responds, actually, I'm everywhere all at once. Like,
then they go out for bagels.
They have sausage fingers. But okay, so it's 1983. The CIA sends Lieutenant Colonel Wayne McDonnell, who is an Army officer, to the Monroe Institute to basically run a report, study the place, figure out what's up, let them know if this is something viable that they should spend their time and money and resources on. So because of this, we have a 29-page report that at the time was classified and filed with the CIA, but now we have access to it. 29 pages. Again, this is going to be in the show notes if you want to read the whole 29 pages, because I'm not going to tell you the whole 29 pages. I'm going to give you a summary. It's a 29-page report complete with diagrams and mind-bending facts. Like, these pictures blow my mind because it looks like physics class. And while I thought physics was really cool, I was really terrible at it.
I mean, these look like my doodles.
Right. But they're like talking about like time and reality and physics.
It's this one, the stylized rendition of the simple torus. Like that, I feel like is what, whenever people talk about like time not being linear, like I feel like that's what's depicted a lot.
Right.
It's like this weird looping cylinder that like spits out and refeeds and
it's like a black hole.
Yeah.
Okay, so the purpose of the report and his visit to Monroe Institute was simple. Evaluate the Institute's gateway experience for military application in intelligence work, aka can the mind be trained to transcend time and space? Like I said, because this is not the only declassified CIA document about the gateway experience, I'm going to give you a summary, the Reader's Digest version. Okay, so McDonnell begins his report stating the initial purpose of his visit and how he began his profile of the experiment and his personal conclusions on the matter. I'm going to share a couple quotes from the cover letter itself. Niels Bohr, the renowned physicist, once responded to his son's complaints about the obtuse nature of certain concepts in physics by saying, "You are not thinking, you are being merely logical." To borrow Dr. Bohr's mode of expression, parts of this paper will require not only logic but a touch of the rational brain to grasp the concepts involved. This study is certainly not designed to be the last word on the subject.
I love that so much.
So, key takeaways. McDonnell is sent basically to a cabin in the Appalachian Mountains, and he comes away with, first, consciousness is not confined to the brain. It is an energy, a frequency, a waveform, and the body is a temporary receiver.
Yep. Which I feel like if anyone has ever been to an open casket, that has never been more obvious to me ever.
Because the soul is not there.
Yeah.
He uses quantum physics and Planck's constant, which I tried to look up and try to understand, and I could not. So I'm just going to say that for those of you who do understand it. And he uses string theory to argue that consciousness is not inside of you, it is everywhere. Second, he comes away with this. We live inside a hologram, like a full-on simulation theory. Using other famous physicists' work, McDonnell reports that our reality is a 3-dimensional projection from a 2-dimensional pattern. Meaning, given the right tools, the mind can access any point in time, space, or existence. So that there is this like 2-dimensional, overlord that is projecting our 3-dimensional reality. So
can we project a 4D reality then?
Are we not projecting other realities? Like, we are creating AI. Like, we play The Sims. Like, that's creating a different reality.
When does it stop?
Like, I'm truly picturing like a projector. And you know how like the light comes out and it's like it starts small and then it's like a beam. So it's like you can go outside of that. You can go visit the projector. You can go behind the projector. You can go on the other side of, if we're projected onto a screen, what's on the other side of the screen?
Yeah, but now I'm seeing like, when you stand in front of a mirror that has a mirror behind it and then there's like infinite mirrors and reflections of you. It's like, where was the beginning?
You?
Not me. If I'm a projection of someone else, that's a 2D behind the projector. And then, so who made the 2D behind the projector?
I think that's a good example of like how, again, I don't know all of like the terms of physics and they're so.
I there, me now, who, you, where?
Nowhere and everywhere. Okay, so his third takeaway in this 29-page report that he files with the CIA is about hemi-sync. Monroe's patented sound system is the tool to open what he calls the gate. Again, these work by the tapes playing slightly different frequencies into each ear, creating a third sound inside your brain, synchronizing your left and right brain hemispheres, pushing you into altered states. When accomplished, people feel a sense of weightlessness. They can hear voices, see geometric patterns behind their eyes. Some start to float, and then it continues through the 4 focus levels. So you get better, more advanced. And fourth, McDonald reports that once properly trained, gateway participants may be able to project their consciousness, meaning like you could put your consciousness somewhere else, visit distant places without physically moving an inch, access hidden knowledge, or even communicate with non-human intelligence. He avoids the word psychic, and in his report instead calls it pattern access through amphibious consciousness. And I was like, wait, is he saying that we're lizard people?
I know, immediately I'm like, reptilians?
Right.
Is that me? Am I the problem?
Am I a frog? Hopping between dimensions? But this isn't all he reports. He also documents that people could access the absolute, which is a realm beyond all matter and perception. This is a quote from the document. The entire universe is in motion and nothing is truly solid.
Why the fuck do we take philosophy classes? I hated them. Let's get rid of them in college and replace it with all of this crap, because this is so much more interesting and this is actually making my brain blast. Whereas I feel like philosophy classes are attempting to make your brain blast, and instead I was just like, I don't want to hear about another white man and its theories.
But philosophy is so like tied to this in some way, because philosophy is about purpose.
I think I just had a horrible philosophy teacher.
My philosophy teacher was so pompous.
How can you even
the grade doesn't
it?
even matter because it's all fake.
Take that, philosophy teachers.
Okay. So then McDonald also hypothesizes that this experiment, the Gateway Experience, the Gateway Project, proves that the soul continues after physical death, and the Gateway technique can allow communication with past lives, validating reincarnation. So before concluding on his findings, he does caution that this study and these abilities are not without risk. Beyond psychological side effects like destabilization and madness, subjects are at risk of getting trapped in these alternate realities.
Oh my gosh.
Collapsing the boundaries between conscious and unconscious can cause disorientation, dissociation, feelings of loss of control, hallucinations, identity fragmentation, addiction, delusions of grandeur, and inability to re-enter your physical body in this consciousness.
Okay, that's really interesting, because as soon as you said that, I was thinking about when people dissociate and where they go and what they're doing. And it did make me think, like, are they just jumping to somewhere else? And it's almost like a pause in your current state. Your avatar left just like rocking back and forth.
I disassociate quite a bit. And I think it's so hard to explain it because I don't know where my consciousness goes. I almost feel like I let go of my consciousness. And maybe if I were to do like the gateway and stuff, I would be able to stay with it. But it's this weird thing of like my brain, which is like my Sabrina brain that I like, my internal dialogue and whatever, is still like a part of me.
Yeah.
But my soul and energy has like completely left. But I don't know where it went.
Oh, interesting.
Like I'm no longer connected to my consciousness when that happens.
Oh, so you're just left as like your little meat suit.
Yeah.
Being like another part of me has ventured off.
Yeah. But I wish I could stay with the other part of me. That sounds more
the
fun.
reverse. I think I had a moment where I was the reverse. It's the only time it's ever happened to me. It was when I was interviewing for Blink, Jake's aunt and uncle, Adam and Varda. And I was sitting there and they were talking about stuff. And suddenly it was like, you know, in movies where they like pan back, but it's like a distorted one where it's almost like the foreground is being pushed to the background and everything else is expanding.
Like Get Out where he sinks.
Yes. It was exactly like that. And I went back and suddenly I was behind myself watching myself sit in a chair interviewing Adam and Varda
You
that
had an
were on the
out-of-body
couch.
experience.
Oh, I guess so.
You like astral projected.
Interesting. I thought I was disassociating.
No, you were very conscious.
No, I was. And I kept thinking,
Yeah.
like, this is so crazy that I'm doing this. This is so crazy that I'm experiencing this.
That is wild.
And like the
How have you never
colors
told
were
me
different.
this?
Because I
How long did it last?
Maybe like 90 seconds or so. It was like they were talking and maybe longer.
Maybe
'Cause it
they
was-
both have different frequencies in their voices and it created that third sound in your brain.
Maybe it did. Because it's the only time it's happened. And they were talking like back and forth a lot. And I like pulled out and it was like the color was different. Like the color grading was different. It was almost like, you know, when you on YouTube where you like look at, if anyone's ever looked at like the lo-fi videos or whatever, and it's like, you know, some girl typing on her computer and there's like a cat and it's raining or whatever. It's like comic book grading like that. Like there was a lot of shadow and the outside was a lot darker and it was almost a spotlight.
You were almost leaving our hologram.
Damn it. Well, then Varda stopped talking and I said, oh shit, it's my turn to ask a question again. And it was like someone took an office chair and I was sitting in and like pushed me forward back into myself. And then I was like, boom. So, what blah, 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 blah.
You were so conscious.
Yeah, but I thought that that's what people who were.
Dissociation?
Yeah.
No, that's like you had an out-of-body experience.
Shit.
You're already in focus level 10, which is
I don't know how to get back there. Apparently, I need to talk to Adam and Varda all the time.
Seriously.
They triggered that in me.
Wow. That's so cool.
Wow, to me, I'm like,
yeah, look at you.
I can't believe I did that.
This is another quote that McDonald included in his report. Once you open the gateway, you don't get to choose who or what greets you. So he's cautioning like there's some dangers here. The one thing missing from the gateway process and everything that I've done research on is a rescue protocol. What happens if you get stuck? There's no documentation. There's no like report on it, but I'm sure it has happened. So anyway, in conclusion, McDonald's like, yeah, this is legit and is plausible. And he lays out a suggested step-by-step approach to study the gateway process for the CIA and the government. So with Lieutenant Colonel Wayne McDonald's report, the gateway process was officially a top secret CIA study. The gateway process was studied for years and integrated with other programs like Stargate.
Okay, I'm glad that you said that because initially when you were listing all the programs, I was like, how do they speak to each other? And were some things just proved to be like impossible or non-existent and then the next one iterates on it? Or are they all kind of like working tangentially?
I think they're working tangentially. I think. Apparently, the use of these techniques in government dwindled, but like did it? I still believe they fully are being used and they've just like modified how they do it or perfected it. Like I think about this story all the time and I think you told me about it, but it's this like woman who was on TikTok who said that she tried to astral project. She astral projects all the time, but that she tried to go to Area 51 and she was greeted by astral bodyguards.
Yeah, who then chased her as she almost
like
Looper-esque, you know, like in the movie Looper where he like looks at a photograph and like
jumps
there.
Through. Yeah.
She was basically doing that. She was like jumping to different locations
and they were
following
chased
by these astral guards until I don't know where she lost them.
Right.
But eventually she was somewhere and they weren't there anymore.
So I imagine there is some government facility where a bunch of like bulky astral people or physical people are laying.
Bulky.
But I feel
are you muscular and are you good at meditation? You could be an astral bodyguard for Area 51.
I just imagine that they have to like look intimidating. But then it's like, well, can you change what you look like in the astral plane? Like if you get so good at it. Anyway,
your own avatar.
But I'm imagining this like room where there's just like thousands of people laying on these beds with these headphones on and that they are just constantly like out of their body. That's their work.
Well, and now it begs the question, like, what happens if you do get stuck? Or, like, can you untether but continue on? And just, like, what happens to your body that is left behind? Is that considered a death?
I mean, eventually your body would decay, right? And then, like, die. Like, I guess, like, does your consciousness zap to a different place if your physical body dies? Okay. So I still believe that they use this. In 2003, these classified documents were approved for public release, and they went largely unnoticed, which I think happens a lot. The CIA is constantly releasing things, and people are just like, you know, I don't spend my days on the reading room of the CIA website being like, ooh, what new information have they released? And these documents are also really long. But as of like 2018 and 2020, people started to talk about this more. There's a lot of skepticism and also belief, but some people believe it's all hogwash and state there's no evidence that out-of-body experiences aren't more than just lucid dreams or like strange brain activity. But we know the truth. This is real. And binaural beats have been proven to impact brain waves, and these experiences are repeatable. There are so many people who have done this, which brings us to firsthand testimonies. Okay, but so basically starting in the 1980s, the CIA definitely studied and implemented the gateway process into military government practices. And in 1995, Robert Monroe, who started the Monroe Institute, died. But his work in the Monroe Institute continued on. And this isn't and wasn't just accessible to the CIA and military. Regular people were, are, and have been involved in studies at the Monroe Institute. They still offer classes and programs that you can do. You can do some of them online. There's a class called Spoon Bending 101, and I think it's online as well, but it's $229. But then there's in-person out-of-body classes. And you can stay there for 5 days and 6 nights. And I think like it costs anywhere from $1,000 to $2,700. I don't know what the differences in prices are. Maybe like your accommodations. There's remote viewing for beginners, in person, 5 days and 6 nights. Here I am learning about the Monroe Institute, and I tell Payne about it because obviously he's like alien guy and is like researching for high strange. He freaking signs up for a class in June or July.
Pay for us to do it too.
I know. He's going in July.
Fund us.
But when you do these classes, like you are agreeing to be a part of the study as well.
Oh, interesting.
So
you have to report back on like everything that you experience. So there's like a debrief. Well, which is probably appropriate for doing studies like this.
But also the CIA declassified many documents regarding the gateway process, and the tapes are available on Spotify and YouTube, meaning you can do this in your very own home.
Oh my God. We don't need to pay money. We'll do it right here. Let's get recliners.
So there's like some things where I'm like, I get apprehensive doing it by yourself, where it's like, we don't have training in this. I'd rather be in a facility that sounds so like clinical. I mean, I guess it is, but I'd rather be with people who have spent a lot of time doing this.
Yeah, because then if your soul gets untethered or like stuck, then maybe they could like
rescue you,
jump in and come and get you.
And also one of these documents that is declassified is called the Gateway Intermediate Workbook, and it's 21 pages, but it's intermediate. Like the beginner workbook is not available. And so I'm like, I don't know, I wouldn't jump right into that without doing more groundwork and basic education. But there's also a 4-page document that describes what the Gateway program is and what the focus levels are. Again, these are all in the show notes if you want to read more. And in the workbook, it has affirmations, exercises, and something called resonant tuning. There's also one section that warns that this level may lead to encounters with other intelligences who could either assist or interfere.
That's the thing. It's like you have to suss out the good and the bad. There's no like perfect, this place is magic and rainbows and unicorns and butterflies and you're perfectly protected and everything is peaceful and congratulations, welcome to the new version of life.
Right. Which is why I would again caution, do not do this by yourself at home. Don't just jump into it because it sounds really cool. I would do all of your research, perhaps even like pay for that $79 beginner introduction class just to have some understanding. And I would also highly recommend stating and setting intentions. Even these classified documents tell you to do so. Like the affirmations are a very, very big part of the Gateway experience. The program has been carefully constructed with controlled steps, each with a strong and positive base. And upon advancing through the steps with these focus levels, slowly it's documented that individuals can grow a deeper sense of self-worth, which I do think is cool. From books to Reddit to YouTube to even the Institute's Google reviews, there are countless firsthand accounts. People have communicated with deceased loved ones, healed trauma, successfully remote viewed, had out-of-body experiences, enhanced intuition, harnessed energy for business success, improved quality of life, and so much more. So let's start with a couple of testimonies from the Monroe Institute's website itself. One woman, Parvin Sultani, found out about the Monroe Institute while reading a book while she was traveling in Peru, of all places. And she met a Monroe outreach trainer named Richard Tilson. And she was like, she was so intrigued by the Institute, but she was also really uncomfortable. And she was like, what are you doing to my brain? Like, are you altering it? So she signed up to learn more about it, but refused to do any of the like headphone work. Like she didn't want the sounds messing with her brain. So she first started no sound, and she was able to meditate enough to find herself in some altered state. And it felt strange because she said during this altered state, she kept seeing this one man. And she was like, I recognize him, but like, I don't recognize him. And then she's walking around the Institute and she sees a picture of Robert Monroe. And she's like, that's the man I keep seeing in my altered state.
Oh my God, I have chills.
This man was dead, died in 1995.
Oh, holy shit.
And this is a common thing. So many people see Robert Monroe.
This is just making me think of the telepathy tapes too, and the teachers on the hill and all of that.
I know. People are like, oh, you need to use like psychedelics or drugs to get to this place mentally. But the gateway experience is all about doing it naturally, using sound, using a natural resource we have accessible to us to get your brain to that place. Now, Robert Davis, he also signed up for an out-of-body class. And again, skeptical. He was like, maybe I'll just like deepen my knowledge more than anything. But instead, he came out with some wild out-of-body experiences. Prior to the class, he had done some reading, and I guess like the instructor probably sent like here's some preparation that you can do before the class. And there was this affirmation that you're supposed to repeat at bedtime. As you're about to fall asleep, you lay in your bed and you repeat the affirmation. I remain aware as I fall asleep. I remain aware as I fall asleep. After a week of doing this, he started to feel a buzzing at his neck. That then, over time, turned into a strong, rhythmic vibration pulsing from his toes to his head. Then he began waking up in his dreams. One time, he found himself flying at breakneck speeds in a dense, dark forest, winding through a maze of massive trees. Another time, he woke up perched upon a billowy white cloud, and later encountered a Buddhist monk whose eyes were closed and starts asking Robert Davis like about his spiritual growth. Like, how do you find yourself here? All of this stuff, all telepathically, which I'm not surprised. I fully believe that monks who spend all of their time meditating are in this place.
They're already doing
all the time.
I was seeing an interview from Kai Dickens, who did the telepathy tapes, where she was talking about how like if you talk to different religions or different indigenous tribes, they'll tell you that this has always existed. This is not something new. Like,
no.
It's like no, duh, we can do this.
Right.
This has been a big part of us.
There's just different ways
just been
that
lost
people are
over time.
Yeah. And we're finding new ways to access it. He described, and this is interesting, but he described that a lot of these out-of-body experiences felt like hallucinogenic trips. Once, while out of body, he spotted a speck of light in the distance. And as he moved closer, it became apparent that this glow was emanating from a shimmering facsimile of a human eye suspended freely in the darkness. It was so majestic. And apparently he dove through the pupil to explore what lay beyond it. Which is like,
in the world?
What is reality? It's crazy.
Well, now it's making me think of all the ways that angels are depicted in the Bible, where it's like a bunch of eyes and it's all like spinning in these weird matrices. And
yeah,
like it honestly looks like some of the drawings that you showed.
And like Greek mythology a little bit. Throughout these courses, he would meet people he had never seen before in these alternate. So like he would like go into these out-of-body experiences and meet people in the astral plane he had never seen before, never met before. And he would just simply in the astral plane, like look at them and immediately learn and feel every emotion and physical and like ailment and trouble they had gone through without ever saying anything.
That is what my old coworker can do.
The shadow work one?
Yes. She says she's very careful about touching people because sometimes unintentionally she gets all that information.
It's like Planet Lanulos too, where these people are all telepathically communicating and there's a deeper sense of empathy and understanding. Okay, this story is amazing. Another woman experienced a beautiful out-of-body encounter that brought forth memories of a past life. So she had signed up for an out-of-body experience course at the Monroe Institute, and she was in a room in a meditative state with a bunch of other people. And this is a quote from her. She said, "I was suddenly drawn by a powerful force to another room in the Institute. It took me by surprise. The man in that unit was someone I didn't know very well. But all at once, I had a knowing, as I seemed to float over to him, that his vibrations were also my vibrations. Memories of past lives together came rushing in like flashes of light. We talked in this state, and I came to realize that this experience could have only happened at the end of the workshop, and that our meeting had been more than coincidence. It was predestined. When it came down to the meeting room after the tape, there was an unusual heightened energy where everyone seemed to be flying. I saw him, the man that I had seen in my out-of-body experience. We looked at each other excitedly, ecstatically, as if something totally incredible had happened to both of us. I didn't say a word of my experience. He just kept looking at me, repeating, 'Thank you, thank you.'"
Chills!
We compared our experiences and they were identical.
Oh, wow.
Later after the class, these two were reunited and they have been dating ever since.
Oh my God. I have chills on my scalp
Yeah.
right now.
Okay, now to Reddit. Like I said in the beginning of this episode, there are posts like being updated. Literally, I got an email this morning. It was like a gateway experience, like just started the tapes. I didn't read the whole thing, but like literally this morning I got an email about it because I was
People are
researching it so
doing
much.
it.
So I found a couple for this episode, but this is a long episode. So what I decided for us is that for our next Patreon bonus episode,
Mhm.
we should do an episode all about encounters with the gateway tapes.
I love
and
that.
do a full episode of
hearing other
gateway.
people's
Yeah.
gateway experiences. I love
Mhm.
that.
Yeah.
And honestly, I feel like I need that because I want to do this so badly, but I do want to hear other people's experiences before I jump into it.
Well, I'm going to share a couple more.
Okay.
And I'm going to end with the scariest one because it's me. Hi. Hello. Hi there. Now you there too.
Hi there. And you here.
And you here. Okay. 2 years ago, Slipknot Official wrote the following. I was using the tapes for a solid year, 1 to 2 times a day with a strict meditation routine. I had a few near exits, some intense vibration stages, but nothing really substantial. But then I was on a flight from the US to Europe over the Atlantic Ocean, and I decided to put on my tapes just to help me fall asleep. I remember
Slipknot, is this the band Slipknot accidentally posting
I
on
would
their
love that.
music Reddit?
You know, like heading to tour in Europe.
Yeah, I was on an Atlantic flight.
I remember putting headphones on, starting the program, closing my eyes, and what felt like 20 seconds later, I woke up. I was so confused because everything felt off. I instinctively turned around, but I was confused because I saw myself in the chair, sitting there with my eyes closed. It then clicked. I was out of my body. I floated around a bit, and I could see that passengers were sleeping, but I could hear their dreams.
What?
It sounded like 100+ people chattering at once in my head. I could look at a person and focus in on what they were dreaming or thinking about.
Which makes me curious about dreams. Are all dreams some iteration of an astral projection?
The dream world is also very confusing, but Slipknot was also hearing thoughts. So it was like just like tapping into the consciousness or the brain, whatever you want to call it. It's a version of telepathy. I decided to float to the cockpit, but got this sudden wave of fear about getting stuck outside of the jet. So as soon as I thought that, I started to get sucked back towards my body and I jolted awake. I was more in disbelief about what was happening than anything. Okay, this one is about pets. Samadhi Hopeful wrote, I saw my dead dog.
No! Oh, Frinkles! I'm coming for you!
This is a sweet story. They wrote, I forget which wave I was in, maybe intro to Focus 12, but as I went deeper and deeper into a trance, I noticed a flood of random images from my subconscious. Then the images stopped on my current dog. I watched as her face morphed into the face of my dog that had died about 15 years ago. And then I felt something jump onto the bed I was laying in. I jumped up and my current dog was on a different level of the house. Not only that, but there is a large disparity in weight between my current dog and my deceased dog. The weight I felt in the bed was the weight of my dog that had died. It should go without saying that my dog was my best buddy growing up and we were inseparable. It was really nice to see him again.
So sweet.
This is a story called The Guardian, and it's by Phil Late 3253. So I did the research on Friday. It was posted 15 hours ago when I did this. Yeah.
Shit.
Okay, they wrote, I've been using the tapes for a couple of weeks. I used to do DMT a few years ago and had a very profound experience. In this experience, I met a woman/goddess who was trying to give me a message. I've seen her several times now since doing Focus 12. Last night, I saw and heard a clear message. Let go of your preconceived ideas about everything. And now that I have ChatGPT, I was able to get a really close depiction of what she looks like. This is her. This is what she looks like.
Whoa.
When I first met her, she told me that she was always with me. And when I tried to explain how I took the DMT because I wanted to come visit her, she became so sad. She said I didn't need that. She's always with me. I woke up crying and I knew that I had made her so sad and I was feeling her sadness. Last night I saw her again. I don't know what this effect is, but there is no question in my mind. Whether it's my subconscious or the hemisync, I cannot tell you. I'm keeping a journal. I'll keep writing more when I experience things.
See, this part is so interesting to me because it's like that goddess or like that being that is trying to help this person get into this new plane does experience emotion and sadness. Whereas when you covered Planet Lanulos and the smiling man or whatever.
Grinning man?
The grinning man.
Yeah.
On Planet Lanulos, they're supposed to be all at the certain level of telepathy that there is no sadness. It's only just like content happiness.
Or I think if there is sadness, it's like it doesn't feel as bleak or sad because you know everyone is understanding you.
Oh.
It's like there's like shared understanding. So there's a
Mm.
peacefulness to it.
Interesting.
And then also it's like, yeah, what is this guardian? Is she some iteration of someone who used to be a human? Or is this one of the farmers? Or is it
That was my
part
thought
of like the
too.
2-dimensional construct? I don't know.
Yeah, like, are we being manipulated?
For sure. Okay, now my last story that I'm going to read for today. This is scary. Because I was like, I feel like so many of the encounters, especially listed on the Monroe Institute website, are these really positive ones because
Mhm.
they, of course, want to look like this really positive experience.
Yeah.
But there are all these cautions. Like McDonnell, who did the initial study for the CIA, even warned, like there are cautions and warnings that should come with this because there are people who become obsessed with it and become addicted to it and lose touch with reality completely. Because once you are able to leave this reality, which this reality is sometimes tough,
Mhm.
wouldn't it be nice if we could just escape into a place where everyone is happy and blissful and there's no pain and
Right.
they're dangerous. So anyway, I wanted to end on a
dangerous note.
on a cautionary tale to perhaps warn people from jumping in right away without properly preparing themselves. But like we say all the time, if you decide to just do it anyway, email us what happens. Okay, so AGM_M sought help on the Reddit thread because they had a scary experience. I started the tapes and I've been doing them for a week or two. I found a lot of benefit with them and I'm finding them deeply relaxing. I had no problem attaining focus level 10 and I was really enjoying it. Then, after having what felt like a very deep first focus 12 session in the afternoon, that night I woke up at 3 a.m. I was lying there and I heard a bump in the house that sounded like it could have been a door to the outside or something. So I got up and I went to look around. I wasn't scared in any way. I just wanted to have peace of mind that nothing was going on. I didn't see anything and I went back to bed. As I came into my bedroom, I distinctly remember having left my door wide open because it's always open for my cat to come and go. And I remember I left it wide open and I went back to sleep. The next thing I knew, I was awake in a state of sleep paralysis with this thing like a human form, but pure blackness without solid edges and with glowing red eyes in my doorway looking at me. I had an overwhelming feeling that this thing was bad. I was both scared and angry and trying to yell and threaten it to leave, but I was unable to move or voice anything. All that came out were muted sounds. And then I remember the creak of it closing my door. I blacked out, fell back into sleep. And when I woke up in the morning, I thought of it as just very vivid nightmare, but my bedroom door was very much closed.
Ooh, I have chills.
No windows were open. There were no other sources of breezes. And I'm sure my cat would not have done that. It weirded me out. And since that time, about 6 weeks ago, I find myself thinking about it often. And I find myself unable to stay awake or really utilize focus 10 or 12 anymore. I feel like I'm blocked from them. I'm in good mental condition going in, but at some point I'll just black out and I'll come to an hour later.
Weird.
So basically ever since like this one experience, this user like isn't able to get, which could just be fear, like, right? Like something really scary happened when they were in focus 12 and now like they have a wall up of like, I don't want to go there again. What if this thing is waiting for me?
Mm-hmm.
But they have been unable to get into that trance-like state again.
Yeah, but then there's also missing time.
Yeah, they're like blacking out. But it could just be falling asleep. Is what I hope.
Yeah, it makes me curious. Like, is there something there trying to protect them? Is it a trauma response where they're like not remembering exactly what happens when they go in there? Or has this thing that came in and then closed the door and left attached itself? And
I don't know.
That is what takes over in those levels.
I don't know.
I know you described the thing as like this big kind of like blackish with red eyes, but the whole time I was picturing, you know, in Gerald's game where like the cannibal keeps coming in and she's like, you're not real. You're just made of moon dust or whatever. And she's like on the bed, like trying to convince herself. And he's like, and just like keeps coming and going.
Yeah.
I was picturing him like this giant,
it's
creepy
terrifying
figure.
Well, then it also makes me think, I feel like people who have had sleep paralysis encounters, it almost feels like it's a sign that you are closer to being able, like you already have this ability. Like it won't take as much work for you. So those are very few of the encounters, but that is the Gateway program and the Monroe Institute.
Wow. Oh my gosh. And then there's so many more programs within that we don't even know about.
There are also so many other experiences and people reporting seeing orbs, crafts descending over their home after starting the Gateway tapes, receiving downloads of information, absorbing humanoids on a spaceship, and so much more.
Observing. I thought you said absorbing. I was like, whoa.
They absorb the spaceship. And just starting at $79.99, you too can journey beyond the consciousness.
Wow. Transcend.
In the show notes, there's a Spotify link to. So the Monroe Institute, like you can buy the tapes from them, and I think it's like $200. But there are online, you can find like free versions of them because they're just sound frequencies, right? There's a link to a Spotify playlist. And then there's on Reddit, there was like someone who shared a Google Drive with all of like the folder has all of the different waveforms and focus levels. So those are in the show notes for you if you would like to explore further. Should we listen to like a part of it?
Yeah.
Okay. If you're driving, maybe I don't know. Don't close your eyes and
Don't
meditate or like turn this off.
Leave your body.
I am going to put just wave 1, which is called Discovery. There's 6 CD as they're labeled in here, but the first one is Orientation. So maybe it does have like lessons and stuff. Okay, let's see.
This is the first step along your path to a gateway beyond which is discovery, your own discovery of reality, of truth, of who and what you are. Now a simple preparation. Because of the special audio techniques used, it's important that certain sounds reach your right ear and others your left ear. To be sure of this, you should be hearing my voice in your right ear at this moment.
So I think you need to have headphones on to experience this.
This is just
properly.
so Severance to me.
It's so Severance. Let's see if we can actually get a sound. Okay, this is called the free flow. It also sounds like in Lost. What's that institute?
Oh, I haven't seen Lost.
Okay, this is. My ears perked up.
I'm sorry. Are they trying to make me have a panic attack? Because that's what this feels like.
But also no shit other out of this realm beings are going to come through with that.
Yeah, this is like an old, creaky, dark, enchanted forest that they're putting us in. That's the sound of it.
And I don't have the real information here on this, but correct me if I'm wrong. I think there are sound waves that we have received here on Earth. From somewhere distant in the universe. I wonder how they correlate with this stuff.
This is even making me think now of the like bloops and stuff that have been captured deep in the ocean that can't be attributed to anything that we know. And everyone's like, it's Megalodon. But it's like, what is it?
I mean, why is 70% of Earth ocean? Is it because they didn't complete building everything and they were like, let's just cover it up with water. No one's going to go dive down there.
Right? Yeah. Why weren't we born with gills? Why can't we drink salt water?
It's so
wild. We can. The mermaid versions of us. Through evolution, we split off and grew some fins.
Go find your mermaid at the I There locale.
Yeah. Find your mermaid doppelganger at I There.
The Looosh Farm. I also want to read more about the Looosh Farm. And so maybe I'll buy Robert Monroe's books and read more and read some of his experiences in the Patreon episode.
Oh, you should.
Yeah.
I want to borrow those books.
Yeah. If you want more of the Gateway experience in the Monroe Institute, we'll see you on, I think it's June 21st is our Patreon bonus episode. Whatever that Tuesday is, that's the day that the bonus comes out.
Okay. There were plenty of people that were like, hey, have you heard about the Monroe Institute? I've done it and it works. Or you guys should look at project whatever, Gateway, la-di-da.
Yeah.
But no one gave their real experiences. So I chose instead an interesting thing about astral projection, and it is from our listener, Sabrina, called Am I Haunting My Childhood Home in My Dreams?
I don't know.
Which feels kind of like something that you could do if you get super into.
It also sounds like something some version of you is doing.
It's me and you combined. This person, I'm doing it, but with your name. Hi, Corinne and Sabrina. I'm also Sabrina. Side note, I feel like growing up, I never met Sabrinas, and now they are everywhere. Do you feel this way too?
I think since starting this podcast, a lot more Sabrinas have come into my life, but not in my, I feel like through email or through listenership rather than I'm not meeting a ton of Sabrinas.
Right. Okay, so I have some weird dreams. From lucid dreaming to astral projection, I have these really intense, mysterious dreams, and I've had them basically my whole life. The first time I experienced astral projecting was when I was younger. On Christmas Eve, I was in bed with my sisters, and we would all sleep in the same room every Christmas. I was super excited as a small kid because this was Christmas Eve, and I just could not sleep. But then all of a sudden, I was above my body, and I could see my sisters as well as myself while I was on the ceiling.
Interesting.
I could see myself in the exact position that I had been laying in moments before, and I could see both of my sisters dreaming, and I was quiet and peaceful. And
I'm so curious. That's like that one
Right.
encounter, seeing them dreaming. I
Yeah,
wonder
like,
like
how do you
how
know?
visualize it. Yeah.
Right. I don't remember how much time had passed, but I woke up in my bed and I looked at my sisters and they were exactly how I had seen them from the top of the room.
Wow.
Okay, now we're fast forwarding about 20 years. For some context, my dad had passed away in bed in his sleep in his house about 3 years prior to this. Unfortunately, my mom could no longer afford to keep the home that my sisters and I had grown up in, so she had to sell the house. Anyone who has lost their childhood home knows deep down the pain that I'm talking about. I'm about to. Ever since the home sold, I started dreaming about it every single night.
Whoa.
Some of the dreams, I was aware that I shouldn't be there. But most of them were just normal, weird dreams that you don't even notice, where some are specific until the next morning. One night in 2023, around Christmas, I woke up in my childhood bedroom. Christmas decor was around, and I realized I was astral projecting. However, I didn't notice anything was off or realize that I didn't actually live there anymore. My childhood bedroom looked as it did when I lived there, and I started walking downstairs. I noticed some things looked different, and then, as if it was sort of glitching, it would turn back into how I remember the home being. So I walked down the
Weird.
stairs. I was aware I was sleeping, and I walked down the hallway that led into my living room. And I realized that my family was there. We were all watching a movie.
Including herself?
I think so. I walked into the large open double doorway that led into the living room, and I could see my family and our dogs all facing the TV. I thought, wow, they can't see me. And so I watched them. I think I said something out loud because at that moment, they all turned and looked at me. All of them at the same time. And as I stood there, I realized that that was not my family. These were different dogs than I grew up with. They all looked shocked to see me, and they all had glowing eyes.
What?
2 nights later, I had another weird dream in this house. I woke up there and I walked into the living room. I remember seeing a Christmas tree, but everything else seemed empty and barren. I sat on the floor by the Christmas tree and there was a man there, a friendly man, and I can't really remember or place if I actually knew this man in real life, but he told me that I didn't live there anymore. And I said, I know, but I grew up here. I asked if the house was haunted now, as my dad had passed away in the house, and he said, yes, but not because of your dad. You are haunting the house. I don't remember anything else. I just woke up again, had to process what had just happened. Am I maybe manifesting my childhood home somehow in my dreams, and the people there can pick up on it from time to time?
Oh
It
my
made me
gosh.
view haunting very differently. And maybe some hauntings are just people dreaming or in the astral plane. I have no idea, but this experience really stuck with me. Also, it seems like these dreams happen always around Christmas time, and I'm wondering if my deep love for these memories that I have over Christmas give me more power to go there or maybe cross a plane of some sort. I don't know, but I'm interested to hear what you think. And I will end with this. I have a memory of being very young, probably in kindergarten, and asleep in bed. I woke half asleep to a woman standing over my bed, touching the covers lovingly. She was glowing and I felt safe. I thought it was my mom. The next day, I asked why she was standing over me in my sleep, and she said, I didn't go into your room at all last night. Younger me then thought that it must have been an angel or something, but now I have a feeling that it was me. And I'm wondering if one night, while I am dreaming, I will be in that room and see my younger self in bed. I will feel my old covers and I will look down on myself with love. Thanks for reading, Sabrina.
Sabrina, you for sure haunting that house. I want to reach out to that family and be like, hey, what ghost things have you experienced?
And it's so weird that like they all have glowing eyes because there's some sort of disconnect with the astral realm where like you're not perfectly seeing. There's some distortion, right? Because they're seeing her probably as this like spooky astral see-through figure. Like, oh my God, we just saw a ghost. And she's seeing them with glowing eyes because there is
it's not everything
there's
is
still this like film separating.
It's kind of
them.
like how you were explaining when you were having your out-of-body experience. It looked kind of grainy.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm also so curious, the way that she explains it glitching makes me think that like, because time does all exist at once, like she's trying to get to when she lived there.
Yeah.
But can't fully. And like there were certain moments where it would look like the way it looked when she was growing up there, but then other times it would look different and weird. And there was just like this weird, it wasn't fully forming. Oh my God, this is so, well, then that makes me
So
question
wild.
if every single haunting ever is this iteration of existing in an alternate time.
Yeah, or even it's making me think of the woman that Monroe found that was
Right.
stuck.
Right. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know
I
either.
have such severe anxiety. Like my heart hurts so much.
Ooh, this was such a good episode, though. I wish we could just should we stop our podcast and only talk about this topic?
Like, I really want to do the gateway tapes. Maybe when I'm in Peru, because I'm going there. So I'll be back by the time this episode comes out, but I'm leaving in a couple days.
Are you hiking up to Machu Picchu or are you driving? Are you going to Machu Picchu?
We're going to go to Machu Picchu,
Okay,
but we're not doing the hike.
So you're going to bus up?
Yeah.
Okay, I was going to say do the tapes while you're walking, but honestly, the bus is probably scarier than
Well, there's a
walking up,
10-hour bus ride during the trip, and I'm like, what better thing to do than...
Oh, are you going to Cusco?
Yeah.
I did that. It's barren out there. It kind of feels almost like Jurassic.
And
it's like
super
Star
high
Wars,
elevation too.
Jurassic Park-ish. Like, yeah.
But a 10-hour bus ride? What way to make the time go faster than leave your body?
Lay down, and what a better place.
I'll come visit you. I'll try.
Please do.
Okay.
You're going to see me stressing.
Yeah. I truly, as I was doing the research, I was like, this could be a full podcast.
Totally.
Because it's so hard to get into just one episode. But
Man.
I was...
And the tapes feel so 80s the way they start out. Like,
yeah. This is the Gateway Experience. And I also was like itching to tell you so badly. And like, I haven't had an experience where I see you socially so many times before we record, but after I've done the research.
Yeah.
That
I know. You brought it up so many times.
I was like, I can't wait to tell you.
So wait 48 hours.
Yeah.
Wow.
If you've done the Gateway tapes, please email us your experience and we'll include it in the Patreon bonus episode.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to hear more about the Gateway experience and people's own experiences about it, come over to Patreon, check us out. You can get all episodes ad-free and 1 week early, plus the bonus episodes, plus campfire stories, and so much more. We're doing like a fun little revamp in the next couple of months too. So there will be some fun things over there to check out. If you have any encounters, email us to twogirlsoneghostpodcast@gmail.com.
You can follow us on social media. You can tell everybody about us in the astral plane and here, and in your dreams, and in your past life, and in your childhood when you go haunt it.
And at the eye there.
And at the eye there. And we'll see you there and here and on the other side.
And everywhere.
But thank you. Thank you to Jamie Ryan, who edits this podcast and produces it. And shout out to all of you who keep coming back every week and motivating us to keep exploring the unknown.
We will do it whether you're here or not, but we like to do it with you
true.
here.
It's better when you're here.
Yes. We love you all.
And we will see you on the other side.